My husband looked at me across the dinner table, fork hovering over his plate, and said the words that would end our marriage. "My parents think you're dragging me down, Sophia, and honestly, I'm starting to agree." He didn't yell. He didn't even look angry. He just said it like he was commenting on the weather. I felt my chest tighten, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just nodded slowly and said, "Interesting." That one word seemed to confuse him more than tears ever could. He blinked, waiting for me to beg or defend myself. I didn't. I simply stood up, cleared my plate, and walked out of the room. Something inside me had shifted. Something cold and clear and final. If you're watching this video, please subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my story from. Maybe you are living next city to me, and I want to know how far it has traveled. My name is Sophia Bennett, and I'm 33 years old. I work as a librarian at the public library downtown. It's not glamorous. It doesn't pay six figures, but I love it. I love the smell of old books, the quiet hum of people reading, the way a kid's face lights up when they find the perfect story. My husband, Marcus, works in commercial real estate. He's 36, charming, ambitious, and comes from money. His parents, Richard and Colleen, own half the buildings in the nicer part of town. When we met 7 years ago at a charity gala, I thought he was different. He laughed at my jokes. He said he loved that I wasn't obsessed with status. He lied. For the first few years, things were fine. We got married, bought a house, talked about having kids someday. But about 6 months ago, Marcus started changing. He'd make little comments. "Don't you want to do more with your life?" Or my mom asked if you're still at the library. The way he said it made it sound like I was working at a lemonade stand. I tried to brush it off. I figured he was stressed. His parents had been pushing him to take over more of the family business. But the comments got sharper, meaner, and then came that dinner. The night he said I was dragging him down, that was the night I stopped being his wife and started being something else, something dangerous. The next morning, Marcus acted like nothing had happened. He kissed my forehead on his way out, grabbed his coffee, and said, "See you tonight." I didn't respond. I sat at the kitchen table staring at my phone. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness, from anger, from clarity. I scrolled through my contacts and stopped at a name I hadn't called in years. Tessa Grant. We went to college together. She'd gone into corporate law and then switched to forensic accounting. She specialized in finding money people didn't want found. I texted her, "Can we meet? I need your help." She replied in under a minute, "Say when." Tessa and I met at a coffee shop across town. She looked the same, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She slid into the booth across from me and didn't waste time. "What's going on?" she asked. I told her everything. The comments, the coldness, the dinner conversation. And then I told her what I suspected. "I think Marcus is hiding money," I said. "I think he's been moving assets around, getting ready to leave me with nothing." Tessa leaned back, eyes narrowing. "What makes you think that?" I pulled out my phone and showed her screenshots of bank statements I'd found on his laptop. Large transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Tessa's expression shifted. "Oh, Sophia," she said quietly. "We need to move fast." Over the next 2 weeks, Tessa dug into everything. Bank records, property deeds, investment accounts. She worked quietly, methodically, like a surgeon. Meanwhile, I played the perfect wife. I smiled at Marcus. I packed his lunches. I acted like nothing was wrong. But every night while he slept, I was awake. I was planning, I was gathering evidence, and I was getting angrier, not the screaming kind of anger, the cold, calculated kind, the kind that doesn't forgive. The kind that doesn't forget. Marcus had no idea what was coming. Neither did his parents, but they were about to find out. Tessa called me on a Tuesday afternoon. "Sophia, you need to sit down," she said. My heart pounded. "What did you find?" She exhaled slowly. "Marcus has been funneling money into offshore accounts for the past 8 months, nearly $500,000. He's also been transferring property titles into his parents' names. If you filed for divorce today, you'd walk away with almost nothing." I felt the room tilt. "Can we stop it?" I asked. "We can do better than stop it," Tessa said. "We can reverse it, but you need to file first, before he does, and you need to be ready for war." I didn't hesitate. "Let's go to war." That Friday, Marcus came home and told me we were having dinner with his parents on Sunday. "They want to talk about our future," he said. I smiled sweetly. "Sounds great." He looked surprised. "Really? You're okay with it?" I nodded. "Of course, family's important." He seemed relieved. He had no idea that by Sunday, his entire world would be upside down. because on Saturday morning I filed for divorce, and I didn't just file. I filed with a 47-page document detailing every hidden account, every transferred asset, every lie. Tessa had built a case so airtight that Marcus's lawyers would choke on it, and I made sure the paperwork would be served to him at his parents' house, right in front of them. Sunday arrived. I put on a simple black dress, did my hair, and wore the pearl earrings Marcus had given me on our anniversary. I looked calm, poised, unshakable. When we pulled up to Richard and Colleen's sprawling estate, Marcus reached over and squeezed my hand. "Thanks for doing this," he said. I looked at him and smiled. "Wouldn't miss it." Inside, the house smelled like expensive candles and old money. Colleen greeted us at the door, her smile tight and practiced. "Sophia, darling," she said, kissing the air near my cheek. Richard stood by the fireplace, drink in hand, looking like a man who'd never been told no in his life. Dinner was about to get very interesting. I sat down to eat, roast lamb, fingerling potatoes, wine that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Colleen made small talk about the weather and the garden. Richard asked Marcus about a new property deal. I stayed quiet, cutting my food into perfect bites. And then, right as dessert was being served, the doorbell rang. Colleen frowned. "Who could that be?" Richard stood. "I'll get it." A moment later, he returned holding a large manila envelope. His face had gone pale. "Marcus," he said slowly. "This is for you." Marcus took the envelope, confused. He opened it. I watched his face drain of color as he read the first page. "What is this?" he whispered. I set down my fork. "That," I said calmly, "is your divorce filing." The room exploded. Colleen gasped. Richard barked, "What is the meaning of this?" Marcus stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "You filed for divorce," he said, voice shaking. "Yes," I replied, "and I filed with evidence that you've been hiding assets, transferring money offshore, and preparing to leave me financially ruined." His mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Richard snatched the papers from Marcus's hands and started reading. His face went from pale to red. "This is outrageous," he sputtered. "These accusations are documented," I interrupted. "With bank statements, transfer records, and timestamps, everything's in there." Colleen looked at Marcus, horrified. "You were hiding money from your wife." Marcus finally found his voice. "Mom, it's not what it looks like." "Then what is it?" I asked, my voice steady. "Because it looks like you've been planning to divorce me for months while pretending everything was fine. It looks like you've been working with your parents to strip me of everything I'm legally entitled to." Richard slammed the papers on the table. "We were protecting our family's assets," he snapped. "From what?" I shot back. "From me, the woman your son married, the woman who's done nothing but support him." Colleen stood up, trembling. "You have no idea what it takes to maintain a legacy," she said coldly. "Our family built this wealth over generations. We weren't about to let it be divided by some librarian." The word dripped with contempt. I stood up too, slowly, calmly. "That librarian," I said quietly, "just took you all to court." Marcus finally exploded. "You had no right to do this behind my back," he shouted. I laughed, actually laughed. "Behind your back, you've been moving money for 8 months. You told me I was dragging you down. You let your parents call me a burden, and you think I had no right." He stepped toward me, fists clenched. "You're going to regret this." I didn't flinch. "No, Marcus, you are." Richard pointed at the door. "Get out of my house." I picked up my purse. "Gladly." As I walked toward the door, I turned back one last time. "Oh, and Marcus, the prenup you thought would protect you, it's void. Fraud invalidates contracts. Your lawyer will explain." I left them standing there, stunned and silent. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. The next few weeks were brutal. Marcus tried everything. He hired expensive lawyers. He called me dozens of times. He even showed up at the library begging me to drop the case. "We can work this out," he said, eyes desperate. "No," I replied, "we can't." His parents tried too. Colleen sent me a letter, dripping with fake sympathy, offering a settlement. I sent it back with a note. "See you in court." Richard tried to intimidate me through his business connections. He called my boss, trying to get me fired. It didn't work. My boss, a woman named Helen who'd been divorced twice, just laughed. "Good luck, Sophia," she said. "Take them for everything." And that's exactly what I planned to do. Court hearings began. Tessa was a machine. She presented every document, every transfer, every lie. Marcus's lawyers scrambled. They tried to claim the money was family business assets, not marital property. Tessa demolished that argument with receipts showing Marcus had used marital funds to seed the offshore accounts. They tried to claim I had abandoned the marriage. Tessa countered with text messages from Marcus, including one where he told a friend, "I'm setting things up so she gets nothing." The judge was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s. She did not look impressed. By the third hearing, Marcus's lawyer was sweating. Richard and Colleen sat in the back, stone-faced. I sat next to Tessa, calm and quiet. Victory was close. I could feel it. Then came the surprise. During discovery, Tessa found something else. Marcus hadn't just been hiding money, he'd been having an affair. With his assistant, a 25-year-old named Bryn. Tessa showed me the hotel receipts, the text messages, the photos. My stomach twisted, but I didn't cry. I just felt cold. "This changes everything," Tessa said. "Infidelity won't affect the financial split in most states, but it destroys his credibility." She paused. "Do you want to use it?" I thought about it, about the humiliation, about the betrayal, about the way Marcus had looked at me that night at dinner and called me a burden. "Yes," I said, "use it." And so she did, in open court, in front of everyone. When Tessa presented the affair evidence, the courtroom went silent. Marcus's face turned gray. Colleen covered her mouth. Richard looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Bennett, were you engaged in an extramarital relationship during this marriage?" Marcus stammered. It wasn't, it didn't mean anything." "That's not the question," the judge said sharply. He hung his head. "Yes, Your Honor." The judge looked at me. "Mrs. Bennett, I'm sorry you had to hear this in such a public setting." I nodded. "Thank you, Your Honor." She turned back to Marcus. "This court does not look kindly on individuals who commit fraud and betrayal simultaneously. We'll reconvene in 1 week for final judgment." As we left, Marcus tried to approach me. "Sophia, please." I walked past him without a word. A week later, the judge delivered her ruling. Marcus was ordered to return every dollar he'd hidden. The house was awarded to me. His share of marital assets was reduced significantly due to fraud. He was also ordered to pay my legal fees. The total, over $700,000 in my favor. Richard and Colleen sat frozen in their seats. Marcus looked like he might pass out. The judge wasn't done. "Mr. Bennett, let this serve as a reminder that marriage is a legal contract. Violating that contract has consequences." She banged her gavel. "Case closed." Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Apparently the case had made local news. "Rich family tries to screw over librarian wife." I gave one statement. "I hope this shows other women that you don't have to accept being called a burden. Fight back." The fallout was swift. Marcus lost his job. Turns out, his affair with Bryn violated company policy. Richard and Colleen tried to distance themselves from the scandal, but their reputation took a hit. People started questioning their business practices. Clients pulled contracts. The family empire started to crack. I didn't feel bad, not even a little. They'd tried to erase me, to discard me like I was nothing. Now they were learning that actions have consequences. Marcus tried to contact me one last time. He sent a letter. It was full of apologies, excuses, regrets. At the end, he wrote, "I loved you once. I'm sorry I forgot how to." I read it once. Then I threw it away. Some apologies come too late. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I sold the house. I didn't want to live in a place filled with lies. I bought a small cottage near the coast. It had a garden, a reading nook, and a view of the ocean. It was perfect. I still worked at the library. I loved my job even more now. The kids asked where I'd been. "Just handling some personal business," I said with a smile. Helen gave me a promotion, head librarian. Better pay, more responsibility. I accepted gratefully. My life wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, completely, utterly mine. And that felt better than anything Marcus's money could have ever bought me. I was free, and I was happy. Tessa and I stayed close. We met for coffee once a month. She told me stories about other cases, other women fighting back. "You inspired a lot of people," she said one afternoon. "I just did what I had to do," I replied. She shook her head. "No, you did what most people are too scared to do. You stood up." I thought about that. About the woman I'd been a year ago, sitting at that dinner table, hearing those terrible words. I wasn't her anymore. I was stronger, sharper, less willing to shrink. I'd learned something important. You teach people how to treat you. And I'd taught Marcus, Richard, and Colleen a lesson they'd never forget. Don't underestimate the quiet ones. We're the most dangerous. I started dadding again. Nothing serious, just coffee here, a movie there. I wasn't in a rush. I was learning to enjoy my own company first. One man, a teacher named Ben, asked me why I seemed so calm all the time. I've been through fire, I said. Nothing scares me anymore. He smiled. That's attractive. I laughed. Maybe it was. I also started volunteering, teaching financial literacy classes at the community center, helping women understand their rights, their assets, their power. Tessa joined me sometimes. Together, we became a quiet force. We didn't make headlines, but we changed lives, one woman at a time, one story at a time, and that mattered more than any revenge ever could, though I won't lie. The revenge felt pretty good too. 2 years after everything ended, I ran into Colleen at a charity event. She looked older, smaller somehow. She saw me and froze. I could have walked away, but I didn't. I walked right up to her. Colleen, I said. She swallowed. Sophia. We stood there for a moment. Finally, she spoke. I underestimated you. Yes, I said. You did. She looked down. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I studied her face. She looked sincere, broken, even. I accept your apology, I said. But it doesn't change anything. She nodded. I know. I walked away, not angry, not bitter, just done. Some bridges are meant to burn, and I'd made peace with the ashes. Marcus tried to rebuild his life. I heard through mutual friends that he moved to another city, started over in a smaller firm. Bryn left him 6 months after the divorce. Turns out she wasn't interested in a man without money. I felt a flicker of something, not quite pity, but close. He destroyed everything for nothing. I didn't contact him, didn't wish him well or ill. I simply let him go. He was a chapter in my life that had closed, a painful one, a necessary one. But closed, I'd moved on, I'd grown, I'd become someone I was proud of. And that was the real revenge. Not the money, not the court victory, but the fact that I was thriving, and he wasn't. These days, I wake up to the sound of waves. I drink my coffee on the porch. I read books that make me think. I laugh with friends. I help women find their strength. I live a life that's quiet, purposeful, and entirely my own. Sometimes people ask if I regret the fight, if it was worth it. I always say the same thing, every second. Because it wasn't just about the money or the house. It was about refusing to be erased. It was about standing up and saying, I matter. And I do. We all do. So if someone ever tells you you're a burden, remember this. You're not. You're valuable. You're strong. And you deserve better. Always. Don't shrink. Don't apologize. Fight back. And when you win, and you will, live your life so fully that they can only watch from a distance. That's the revenge of a lifetime. The story you have just heard is a powerful real-life story that happens in our society every day. I'm telling you this to wake your mind to self-worth, courage, and the importance of standing up for yourself when others try to diminish you. If you were Sophia, would you have fought back? Would you have walked away quietly or demanded every bit of justice you deserved? I want to know your opinion because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. God bless you and may courage guide your hands. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the most beloved channels, King's Revenge Vault. I am sure none of my stories will fail to surprise you. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.